My name is Ambrose Teasyatwho, and I grew up in a small place called the City back in the days, and went on to do some other schooling in California, New Mexico, and went to school on a welding school in California and finished that. Came back and did some welding jobs for people, and today what I'm doing is something that I thought I'll be never been doing anything into wood carvings, but since I have the heritage of my people, which are from the Hopi side, which I used to take some cottonwood roots back to them, and sometimes I sell them, and pretty soon I started to carve with them, and that's kind of where the whole thing turned around. Is starting to carve with some of the guys, and it was very the trip on that is kind of like, you know, back in the days, it seemed like if you were half or not full Hopi, they kind of hide their secrets and carving techniques and all these things. But once they knew where my dad was coming from, they kind of opened up to me and started to show me the process of how to carve, what kind of wood, which way the wood flows and stuff. So I learned just about everything about the cottonwood roots, what kind to carve for what things. And so that's kind of where my carving of sculpture kicked in. But before I got into the wood carving, I also did some metal sculptures. And I taught a guy, apprentice, while he was doing his own thing for about a year where I live, and he's doing that to this day. He's been working on that and making a living too. So that's kind of where I kind of branched away of the steel carving, still welding and sculpting and stuff. So I went to wood carving now, and that's what I'm doing now. So it's my profession full time, but it's been hard for the last 8 years because of my illness that I went through. And one of the worst things that happened to me was going into a hospital and not waking up about 2.5 months later, and nothing is moving except my eyeballs. And from there I had to go to a rehab and learn just about everything and relearn. And that's kind of what I'm doing today. It's been hard, but everything is kind of slow, in slow motion to what I used to do. So, but you know, I just give myself a lot of credit because I'm trying, I'm doing, because you know, I want to go back to where I was. And some people, the last 2 carvings that I finished, some of the people told me that you never left. It seemed like nothing happened. But that's just a big compliment for me to go forward. So I am definitely going forward, and I will probably, the last one, I always look forward to the best one is yet to come, and I'm still working on that to this very day.
So what inspires you?
It's just the timing of wanting to do it. You know, it's just not something that you can clock in and sit down and go at it. There's times that you just kind of have to get into a zone, and that zone is just have to relate to the free spirit, and you have to do it at that angle. It's not by force, or it's not by being. So you just have to adapt to where that you're doing something that's out of enjoyment, and the last thing you want to put on your stuff is the value of the piece and what's going to sell for. So a lot of times I don't even think about what I'm going to be building, what I'm going to be making, and I just let the wood do the flow, and that's the challenge of it, you know.
And how long does a piece like that take?
This piece has been taking me for about 4 years. And the thing about this whole carving that I've done on this thing is all one piece. And that's the whole thing for me, is I always challenge myself of doing everything in one piece. No glue. And so that's kind of what I wanted to be known, and that's what I'm known for,
And what type of wood is it?
And mostly the wood carvings that I do are from the cottonwood roots, the one that's underneath the ground, and when they get it be exposed and stuff like that, that's how I obtain these roots and stuff.
And where do you harvest them from?
Yeah, some of them I have to keep them on for a year, 6 months, just to make sure they don't crack, because a lot of the things to this very day, it's so much in high demand that some young carvers are carving stuff that are still not dry up.
Not fully aged?
Yeah, fully not aged and stuff, and they kind of go, and then a year down the line it will crack. And so when you're doing some stuff that's a high-end carvings, you have to wait for the wood to get dried up and cured, and to make sure it stands the ground. It's just, and that's kind of like learning the process of respecting the wood, and that's why I don't really put value of things and having my own way of doing things.
And right now you're preparing for Indian market?
That's what my main thing, because the last 4 years I have been slowly coming back into the art scene, and not really telling people that I have an illness that I went through or else. Yeah, you can tell a person when you go to these art market that some of the guys are kind of not showing the best or the good quality that they used to do, and they figure that you're having problems. It shows in your art that you have problem and troubles and stuff. And that's something that I try not to have people to see that, so I kind of just step away from that while I was recovering. And now I'm getting to where I can start doing stuff again. And so, like the last 2 pieces that I done, it's just a lot of the compliment was, looked like you never stepped away. It seemed like you're back. It seemed like you never was out. So that's a big compliment, and that's kind of what I'm striving for every day. Is the best one. The best is yet to come.
Are you mentoring anybody right now, or no?
Not at this time. I have people that kind of stop in. And the door's always open for my kids. I always tell them that, that's everything. What I do is I try to pass it on, but I don't want to force them to drag them into my shop and tell them to carve, because I'm a carver and it's in your system or something like that by force. So I just let them be. But I do, and I taught some young, and I taught some college student. And that's something that I never told anybody, but for now, I'm just kind of telling some people that, yeah, I did a lot of things that the guys went on to get their degree in the art, and they're art teachers out there, and some of them are doing full-time artists, it's just, but they're originally out from East Coast, and they usually stay here at the gallery and spend 3 or 4 months, and these are the people that I know. They got it, and sure enough, when they leave here, they really do leave here from the gallery or from the shop a piece that they have completed.
And how many pieces do they usually complete?
Sometimes I tell them to work on 2 of them, because you don't want to go drained out yourself on one specific piece, because your mind goes to a different stage. So you have to have at least 2 or 3, because I got about 4 of these going, and I kind of rotate them back and forth, and one day I'll work on one for a whole day, and maybe 2 days, and then pretty soon I get tired of it, and then I leave to the side, and I pick up the next one, and I start working on that one. So it kind of rotates to where you don't get tired and get drained out. And that's kind of what's wrong with this, with the people that I see that they try so hard, trying to finish one piece and think that they can do it, but it's just hard. And I always tell them, okay, at least if you can draw, and then work on 2 pieces at a time, you know, one working on. And the most important, when I teach a young kid how to carve, even myself, I learn from it, because it's something about birds, or it's something about African folk art. So I'm getting into more of the different culture and understanding some of the things that they do. So when they leave here, I'm more educated by what they were doing and respecting what culture that they were making. So the last time I had a guy here, he's a guy from Minnesota, and he liked African folk art and African style of things. I don't know what button, but we built about 2 sculptures, but it was really unique things when you see some young kid that they're starting up that has the mind, because some of them are pretty smart, and what they do, they're just gifted, and that's kind of how I like teaching somebody. Is I know for some reason I kind of connect with people that has a gift. You know, it's just not something that you, just a little bit of teaching here and they pick it up. And then there's some people that you try to teach them, you do everything you can, but they can't get it. And so there's 2 different type of people. You know, it's just, and a lot of times when I carve, I kind of go into my own world, and that's what I like to be in all the time. But it's usually the end of the month, the first of the week, and bills comes up, and then you have to come back into the modern world.
And this thing here, this is something new you've been doing?
Yeah, those are something that I started, and it's been a really hot item selling piece that I've been. It's a wall hanger, and it just makes everything that's a lot easier than it's a 2D type of thing, and I like doing these, kind of like a modern sculptures and stuff, and it's also a wall hanger. And a lot of the pieces that I do are usually on the pedestals or in the shelves and stuff. But this is kind of like something that it's a lower end, and it's kind of like sometimes you can't just be the high end. There's got to be a lower end to where some people can afford something that's not in the thousands. If it can be like 500, you know, you got it sold, because a lot of time people just wants the name. Who made it, and it's also one piece. And that's what a lot of people in collector to this very day they like, is a one-piece carving. It's only one in this world. You know, they have all the bragging rights and stuff, you know. So.